How's it going, guys? England have only gone and put through a huge performance up against Australia, beating them 25-7. Now, I really was not expecting this to happen at all. I was expecting Australia, especially considering they've had a lot more game time. I was expecting Australia to kind of pull off a little bit of an upset here and come away with a win, but England had other ideas. The game was pretty close in the first half, and I mean it ended 10-7, especially with Harry Potter giving an absolutely stellar interception on the 33rd minute to kind of just shift the game. It did go in 10-7, and Australia were actually putting in a really good performance. They were playing well. Harry Potter was playing very well. Tane Edmond was playing really well. Taniela Tupou was just having people bounce off of him. He was making big tackles. And yeah, it was just the second half really changed the game. England were always in it. They were playing very defensive. They were putting in big tackles. Jamie George putting in huge tackles. He was a tackling machine today. And yeah, they really put in a serious defensive work shift, and this is something that I've really liked about England recently, especially this year. Is we look back to last year's Autumn Nations. We saw England going so early in the lead, dominating the game for like 50, 60 minutes, and then they absolutely crumble. And we saw this time and time again. I think it actually did happen in the last Autumn Nations up against Australia, where Australia ended up snatching a win with a couple late tries. But England had other ideas today, where they actually ended up putting in a couple late tries to really solidify a strong performance, and definitely a strong second half. We got to see Henry Pollock come on with he ended up coming on, and then he ended up getting a try around the 50th minute, I believe it was. We take a look here. So Henry Pollock was the 58th minute. Ben Earl, he had brilliant work try, brilliant placement, right place, right time. Potter, obviously, interception madness. He kind of saw that coming, and then he just had the legs. Nobody could keep up with him, and that was brilliant. Henry Pollock on the 58th minute. This try, I truly do feel that this was the try that changed everything. This is the try that gave England that little bit of comfort. They gave them that little bit of room, so that even if Australia were to snatch through another try, they would still be in the lead. And I think this gave England a little bit of comfort. Obviously, substitutions were made. Well made substitutions, but yeah, it gave them that little bit of extra space, which I think was really needed. It took a lot of pressure off of them, especially with Australia really hounding them. And then Alex Mitchell with his quick feet on the right hand side in the 22. He just, you could tell he worked it, and he kind of knew what he wanted to do, whether it was going to happen or not. He made it right, so ended up pushing through, and it was just on the line. And then Luke Cowan-Dickie on the 74th minute, which really solidified everything. He deserved it. He had a pretty good game, and just is him. He is an absolute monster. So yeah, that really solidified England's chances. Obviously, Henry Pollock ended up getting himself a yellow on the 83rd minute, but it is what it is. Henry Pollock, he's back to his scoring ways. He's playing brilliantly for the Saints. He's playing brilliantly for England as well, minus the yellow. But this is very promising for England. This is a very good start to England's tour. They are going to have a couple tough tests, but this is definitely going in the right direction. Definitely going in for the right direction. But yeah, honestly, Alex Mitchell, he had a very solid game today. I know there are a lot of people that aren't the biggest fan of him. He ended up coming off late, and I think Spencer only ended up getting himself like 4 or 5 minutes. But otherwise, yeah, England really played, very good defensively. They played very good defensively, and we take a look into the actual stats itself. And what we will see here is offensively, technically, they weren't as good. Right, so you take a look into their offense. Where is their offense statistics? I think it is through here. Yeah, offense. So 130 ball carries comparing to England's 98. Same amount of kicks. same amount of line breaks, but England's 22-meter entries were 13 comparing to the Wallabies 7. Defensively, right? The Wallabies made 7 dominant tackles, but England made over 80 more tackles with fewer tackles missed as well, right? So really, really, they played well, and even then, England they conceded the last 5 penalties. They conceded the last 5 penalties of the game. So, on paper as well, they didn't exactly look like they were super dominant. I mean, we take a look here. The Wallabies 194 passes, 130 ball carries, 230 meters post contact to England's 107 passes, 98 ball carries, 251 meters. And this does go to show just how strong England were as well in the carry, because it seemed like every time they were getting the ball, whether it was Ben Earl, whether it was Jamie George, they were making ground. They were making a lot of ground, and that's something that we do love to see. But yeah, defense, 189 tackles, 13 missed, 94% tackle completion. That is brilliant. George Ford, his kicking was off. This could have been much more if George Ford's kicking was on point. He was missing, and I do feel that these were conversions that could have actually been converted. If you had to give it to someone like Sasha, or I think even if you had to give it to someone like Finn or Marcus, that probably would be in. His kicking was very off today. But I mean, can we just look? Can we just take a second and appreciate this? Tackles completed. 20 tackles for Jamie George. People think he's coming to the end. This guy, he still keeps putting in performances. But I'm loving Guy Pepper here. Guy Pepper put in an absolute solid performance, and I stand by what I said. I can see Guy Pepper and Henry Pollock solidifying their place in the next couple of years as the starting two of the starting back row. These guys are absolutely phenomenal. But I mean, we go down the list until the first player that we see that's an Australian, and that's Fraser McWright. And he only ended up getting 12 tackles, which I think this is the first time this year that we've actually seen it happen. Normally, he's banging in at least 16 to 17 tackles per game. So they did manage to keep him relatively quiet. And then after that, the next one is Suali'i. And Suali'i, funny enough, he actually put in a pretty good performance, and defensively as well. He actually made some big hits. So yeah, but otherwise England dominated, and they made the most out of the opportunities that they had. Like I say, I was not expecting this. I'm actually really, really happy to see England come through with a win. I was expecting the Wallabies to sneak through because they've had a lot more game time together. They've been playing as a squad together for much longer. Not only did they have the Lions, they also had the Rugby Championship, where they ended up playing up against New Zealand, Argentina, and South Africa, and they put in some big performances, like some really, really big performances. So I was expecting a much more dominant performance from the Wallabies, but England showed their true class. They showed their depth. They showed just how much of a monster powerhouse that they can be. And yeah, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, because England proved me wrong. England put in a huge, huge performance. What a way to start off, their international season. And yeah, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. So please like, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.